Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us for this next video in the Twinning Voices series with Ukraine. And today we're going to be talking to Alla Tsapiv from Kherson State University and Seb Cadinot from the University of Kent. So thanks for joining us today. I'd like to start by asking you both a question. Tell us about your universities, for those who don't already know your organizations, and what are the key features and specialisms of your universities. Let me start with Alla first.
Thank you. So I represent Kherson State University. It used to be, and it is, a very nice and prestigious university, and we used to function in Kherson. It is a beautiful city in the south of Ukraine. But due to the full-scale war, we were forced to become a displaced university, and we had to move 1,000 kilometers away from Kherson, and now we are functioning in the framework of 2 offices in Kherson and in Ivano-Frankivsk. But here we have a separate building, we have our team, our academic staff, and our students, and actually we're happy that we can work and continue all the things that we have to do, the educational process. So we have more than 3,000 students, to be more precise, 3,500 students, 9 faculties, and more than 100 educational programs which specialize in different fields. And I suppose that this is the university that it is very warm and cozy, has a warm and cozy atmosphere for all the students and for all the academics, still, not regarding the martial law that we're having now.
Thank you very much. And Seb, can you tell us something about the University of Kent?
Thank you. The University of Kent is a comprehensive university based in the southeast of England. Mostly our main campus is in Canterbury, and we have another campus in Medway with around 18,000 students. About 2,500 of those are international students. We have real strengths across the academic provision in both research and in teaching. I'd highlight probably law, architecture, biosciences, computing as some of our key areas.
Thank you. And in terms of the universities being a good fit, what makes the match good in terms of Kherson State University and the University of Kent?
I think in this process we always look for partners who are a good fit for us as a partnership and a collaboration. And certainly Kherson State fit that mold perfectly for us. It's a comprehensive university, again, with similar values. And then in addition to that, I think the fact that we're leading on it as a department where we focus on academic literacies, etc., we have some affinity in terms of subject matter with our colleagues who are philologists. So that was also an added bonus for us.
Thank you. And what about you, Alla?
I think that we can speak about 2 things. Like the first one is this, of course, we match because we have very similar fields of education, and we are the universities that teach students and have maybe similar educational programs. But I think that the main here is that we share the same democratic values, the values of freedom, and we understand that our twin partner who matches us so greatly is doing everything to help us and support, and we feel it absolutely every day. So I suppose that this emotional side is not less valuable than the side that we really match on the educational and scientific levels.
Thank you. And you mentioned some of the movement that you've had to undergo in terms of seeking refuge in another part of Ukraine, but maybe you could tell us more about how the war has impacted the continuity of your activity at Kherson State University.
Of course, the war had a big impact and everything is absolutely different now. But I think that it taught us a lot also when before the war, we paid too much attention to some financial aspects or material aspects, to the building that we had, to all the facilities. Now we pay attention to absolutely different things. So we've been called ones that were the university without the walls. And to some extent it is the truth, but we claim that the main is to save the academic community, to save the team, not buildings or premises value, but people. This is something that is the most valuable, our people, our academics and our students. But actually, what is the difference? Maybe on the level of educational process, we have mostly the hybrid format of education. And of course, we have synchronous and asynchronous formats. And we have very nice and developed educational platforms and a unique e-service, KSU 24. We call it the university in your smartphone or the university on the laptop, that can get the access to all the facilities, to all the necessary information via this e-service. And it is really a unique development of our programmers who have made it possible to study, to educate students whenever they are from all the parts of the world and of Ukraine. And I suppose the digital devices, digital platforms, they enable us to really provide really good education, qualified education for them all.
Thank you. I wanted to ask Seb again to go over how we at the University of Kent first became aware of the Twinning Initiative and what made us want to get involved.
So I think even before we heard of the initiatives, we were all critically aware of the terrible situation in Ukraine and what universities were being subjected to. So we were keen to see whether there were any opportunities for collaboration. We became aware of the specific twinning through Cormac Consulting, who reached out to us, and we were very keen to get involved straight away and then find a good match, as we mentioned earlier.
Thank you. And this is a question to both of you. How did you find that setup process through Cormac Consulting?
I think that was absolutely a brilliant idea of Cormac Consultancy, that was something innovative, something we didn't have before, some new experience for us. And when we just moved to Ivano-Frankivsk, I do remember these were the first days when we were in the city. We were absolutely puzzled, didn't know what to do. And we got a message from our Ministry of Education and Science that Cormac Consultancy are going to conduct a meeting and to tell about the new initiative. I remember all the details of this meeting, and I remember when we filled in the application form and submitted it, and from that moment we started our cooperation, that we had this match very fast. And I think that Cormac were very fast in their decisions. That was also very important, not to think too long, but to create something fast, something that can immediately help Ukrainian institutions develop, survive, and sustain. And I think that all the team is really still dedicated and determined to everything they're doing, because we had their support from the beginning and we're still having it now. Anytime we need, and I really appreciate everything they have done for us and are doing for us now.
Thank you. And so same question to Seb, because I know this was also a new kind of partnership for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And interestingly, just that point that Alla has mentioned on speed was initially a bit of a difficulty for us, a challenge. Usually collaborative processes within the higher education environment can take a long time. So we were faced with a very interesting challenge from our end, which obviously is nothing compared to what colleagues at Kherson State were facing. But we're delighted we were able to very quickly get through the process. The colleagues at Cormac Consulting were brilliant at helping us also with that information and supporting us, with the documentation, etc., that we needed, which was really, really welcome. So yeah, the speed at first was something that we needed to figure out, but we're delighted we were able to do it with their help. It was really good.
Thank you. And this one goes over to Alla. I wanted to know more from KSU's perspective. What would you say are the biggest areas of impact from the twinning so far?
I would say that when we just had our first meetings, we highlighted the main areas where we need support. And we were told that there is nothing we need from you. We are just ready to help you, because this is going to be just our help and our assistance in everything we need. And when we just moved here, we needed equipment that much, and we got that technical help. We got the laptops from the University of Kent, and that was essential for us. We had nothing at that time, and that was the beginning. Then I think that the biggest impact is on the educational process in the framework of learning English, because we have special English courses for our academics and for our students. They could attend these courses, and it was absolutely free and flexible in time and comfortable for them. Then our partners join our English speaking club during, I think, that 2 years, and that's really great because our students need communication with the native speakers and they want to develop their English to improve it, their language proficiency level, and that's great. And of course, in the scientific field, we have very nice cooperation with our historical departments. They have already had a few international conferences, and the last one focused on war in Ukraine and on different views, and they managed to gather scholars from different countries, from the UK and from Poland, and the most famous scholars from Ukraine. I think that it really was great. And of course, one of the greatest impacts is on the level of cultural exchange and communication, because we had a very lovely visit last April that was great, and we had absolutely nice experience that we liked so much. And when we came back, we were absolutely inspired. And I think that if we can call it the field of inspiration, then we had it.
Oh, great. That's good to hear. And Seb, in terms of our perspective, what do you think is the biggest lesson that we've learned from collaborating with KSU in this way?
I think actually the range of ways we can collaborate has come to the fore here. And so while there are many traditional forms of international collaboration between universities, actually in a crisis like this, there are much more practical ways we can support each other. So as has been mentioned already, sending resources, laptops or scanning equipment for the archives, etc. Joint educational activities, we've provided courses, we've welcomed students, and actually we've been able to make the use of some of our provision that was developed or redeveloped perhaps through COVID, that, as COVID kind of dissipated or lessened its impact, we were able to use that for good in another area, which was really helpful. Those weekly events and discussions, the English Club are always a joy to join, and welcoming the colleagues at Kent. And one of the elements that was brought there was some art by the students about the impact of war. And so we had a very moving time with the two colleagues who joined us, Alla and her colleague, looking at that. But interestingly, I went for a few weeks after that to the library and saw students walking around and reading about it and looking at the art and engaging with it. And I think those are the elements that we wouldn't necessarily think of in a traditional academic exchange, and actually in this case we've been able to. But I think most importantly, and Alla, you mentioned this right at the beginning, being able to offer some form of moral support, I think has been that we are thankful for that. It's been a joy from our side, giving the ongoing daily challenges that you face. For us to have any part in just helping you in that has been a real joy from our end.
Thank you. And again, a question for both of you. What do you think are the possible next steps or the future of the collaboration from this point on? Let's go to Alla first.
Okay. I hope, first of all, that it will be a long collaboration, of course, and we will have lots of plans. But the first plans that I'm thinking about is about the joint degree diplomas and special courses that can be created for our students, or the possibility for them to join some of your courses conducted by your university, as we have lots of very talented students and they need this experience from our international partners. They need to know best practices, like the students who learn computer sciences, not only those who learn language. And I suppose that we can move in this field, and we have already discussed the possibilities, and I think that would be great. Then, of course, I'm thinking about our next cultural exchanges, about the academic mobility, and I hope that our students with our academics can visit the University of Kent and have this experience, can see that, can feel this spirit of freedom, of knowledge and education, and can meet with those students they meet during their speaking club discussions in person. I think that could also be great, because that's different when we see each other only via Zoom, and when we meet in person, that's absolutely different impression. It's much better and maybe more emotional. And I think that we can also think about our future scientific researches, probably joint researches. So actually lots of plans. I want to say that we are very enthusiastic. If we give up, our enemies will be very happy for it. But we are not going to give them this pleasure. We are going to be dedicated and strong, and we have plans, and we hope that they will come true.
What a great answer. Thank you. And from our perspective, Seb?
Not much to add. Absolutely welcoming the students and staff through the academic visit, the summer school, which we're currently planning. And yes, exploring other ways to offer joint academic courses or short, online training, etc. And those opportunities for students to link up, but also staff to link up for research projects, etc. So yeah, very much supporting what Alla has just described there.
And just a final question, really, in terms of recommendation or advice to other organisations that might be considering twinning in this kind of way, maybe in the UK or in other countries, what would you say to those countries or those individuals who are thinking about it? Let's go to Seb first.
Yeah, I mean, really worthwhile. That's probably the key summary. I think you get out of it what you put in, and what we have tried to do is not have a single channel for collaboration, but a few different projects happening at the same time, which has given this collaboration some breadth, and allowed us to engage with a variety of areas of both institutions. Obviously, we are extremely keen, as everyone is, to see the war end soon, but that shouldn't end a collaboration either. And so, just as Alla has already mentioned, we're keen to see how that partnership develops over time. Advice, I would say, probably there's a real need to be flexible. I mentioned the kind of speed of partnership, etc. before. We're delighted we were able to get through any of the hoops we had to jump through. I want to say take whatever comes first and grow from there. So it might not be the perfect partnership from day one, but that doesn't matter. I think it's about establishing that relationship, that contact, and growing what we have from that point onwards.
Thank you. And Alla, what about you? I know in the summer we had the privilege of going to a Times Higher event in Warsaw to try and encourage other countries to get involved with the twinning activity, like the UK, and you were really vocal on that. I wonder if you've got any advice that you can share to other organisations or partners.
I think that it's great that we have this possibility to share our experience. It's a really grateful that I could tell about the war in Ukraine, about education during martial law from my perspective as the person who has experienced occupation, escaping from the native city with no Ukrainian military forces when that was so dangerous for our life, when I had to pass through different challenges, and when I felt that I'm really strong to continue our work. And I think that each member of the academic staff of our university had experienced almost the same, and we all have the same feeling that we want to share our experience. Of course, we wish we had never had it, but we already have, and we want to tell to the whole world that our freedom and our values are worth to be fight for and are worth to be told about. And I also want to add that Anthony Manning from the University of Kent once said that the main thing is to listen to each other. And when partners really listen to each other, really try to understand, have this empathy, that really makes the twinning initiative develop, be strong, and make plans and make them come true.
Oh, thank you very much, both of you, for those really powerful stories. And it's been a pleasure working with you both on it. And of course, all that leaves me to say is Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава!
Thank you.
Thank you.